I'm Lucy.
And we're here to talk about movies.
Yes.
And what movie are we discussing today, Lucy?
Over the Hedge. One of my favorite childhood films.
Interesting. And what about this movie is so appealing to you?
That's a very good question. It's definitely dated with the quality of the animation and the subject matter, the soundtrack, and it feels to me like a time capsule of the era in which I grew up. And I also, watching it now as somebody who's older, I think the fun it pokes at overconsumption is really, really great. I watched it for the first time, in a long time recently, and I was just like, wow, like this still holds up really well, if not better than when I was a kid. Like, I think it has a great story, I love the music, it has likable and unlikable characters, like we have the raccoon who's a little bit of an anti-hero, like I love it all.
See, I enjoyed it, not holy crap, this is amazing. It was definitely not on the level of Pixar movies for me, or even some of the Walt Disney animated studios. I thought it's one of those movies. I would almost compare it in a way to like a Wes Anderson movie where it's got a cast of actors that I really like, but I don't think in the end it's something where I'm like, I could watch this over and over again and probably never get tired of it.
Okay.
It was enjoyable, definitely. It definitely, if I ever had kids, I would sit down and watch it with them.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the comments on overconsumption, I do feel like it was almost like ahead of its time, passive-aggressive comment on what American diets are like anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And arguably I feel like that's the kind of movie that would they be able to get away with making it today? Or would it be considered toxic and don't take your kids to this movie because it's going to give them messages that aren't okay? And I just find that really interesting that even back then they were jumping ahead to some of these ideas that are way in the foreground today and are very polarizing.
Yeah, I feel that's a really good point. I think a lot of the themes in it still ring true today, in that it was one of those movies that was ahead of its time, and if it was made today, I feel like there's more filters on things and people are more cautious of what they show their kids. So, if they have certain opinions on the issue, I could see it flopping in the box office for sure.
Yeah, well, I also think of it too as just the general story and everything, the bear that's I'm just gonna hunt you down and kill you, and then admittedly that's pretty dark for it's supposed to be a lighthearted family romp.
That's true.
I'm not saying there aren't a lot of animated movies that go into dark places, but it just honestly comes across as more menacing here than I feel like it has in other animated movies.
Yeah, that's also a very good point, because I feel like at some point in time I definitely had a nightmare that bear was hunting me. I totally did. I was in RJ's little hammock in the tree, and that Ben Folds song was playing, and the bear was like, "I'm gonna get you, Lucy."
I mean, you do seem like a obnoxious raccoon type character that would just take advantage of her.
I mean, if I got free food, probably.
Yeah. The other thing I thought was kind of fun with it was, I don't know if it was intended to be a meta joke, but when Squirrel Hammy finds the hedge, and then he's like, I think we're going to call it Steve. Do you understand what the reference to that is?
No.
Steve Carell does the voice of that character.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that was intentional on Steve Carell's part.
That's funny.
Or if he just did that and then the filmmakers were like, why not?
I never made that connection. I know when I did my rewatch, I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen this movie since I've watched The Office, so now it's totally different knowing that the squirrel was Steve Carell, but yeah, I'm sure Steve Carell slipped that in there.
Yeah.
I'm sure he did.
And then I also appreciated, even from the first time I watched it years ago, the scene, because Hammy is very excitable and just moves at lightning speed already. And then at the end of the movie, to kind of defeat all the antagonist characters, they're like, our best bet is to give Hammy this energy drink that's pretty much like the world's greatest speed for his kind of personality. And so then the joke is the Earth just stops rotating because
Yeah.
he's going so fast that he's walking, but everything else is like slowed down immensely, and it's amusing. I appreciate it. I don't know that I mean, overall, as I say, it's a great cast of actors, and the voicing was great. Like, I think, like Gary Shandling, I think is one of the most talented comedy performers out there. Like, as far as like stand up and everything, and I think he created 2 TV series that are like, in a way, I think would be considered groundbreaking for television at the time, because I think he was just about one of the first people to do the break the fourth wall with his first sitcom, and then he did a show that was like behind the scenes of late night talk shows. So like his TV career, he was like, I think considered, you know, the guy. You know, if you got to be part of Gary Shandling's world in the TV, you were a big deal. And then I know he had difficulty translating that to movie success, but I think he did a fine job playing the turtle. I think that kind of played into his neurotic personality that he kind of always seems to have.
Mm-hmm. I think what I'm discovering here is that a lot of my favorite movies have that nostalgia for me. So like, this is something I watched all the time as a kid. I loved this movie. And my mom would always watch this one with me because she loves Ben Folds. So it brings back like a lot of good memories. But I also watched Madagascar recently just for the fun of it. And that was another one that I watched all the time as a kid. But looking back on it, I didn't really like it. So like, it's possible for like, and I maybe watched that one more than I watched Over the Hedge. Like, I loved Madagascar. But I watched it and I was like, wait a minute, this movie doesn't really make sense. And I had all these criticisms like, about like the climax of the movie and like the minimal like character development and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, I guess this one doesn't hold up. So I guess, not every movie that I watched when I was little is going to be one that I love when I'm older, but Over the Hedge, like, it might be like I think it is my favorite animated movie, because I just, like we've discussed, the themes that it touches on and how it was a little ahead of its time. I love movies and shows that definitely were ahead of their time, and just, I think everything about it is very funny, especially like the villains. Like, I think the villains are so funny, but I know I had nightmares about them too. Like, especially this scene where the skunk, like, she doesn't blow up the house, but like she
exposes the house.
She sprays,
over
yeah.
chemical,
So it like, yeah. So like with that suburban lady, I definitely had some nightmares about her.
Yeah, she is definitely treated as like this witch that you like. Okay, I would probably leave the neighborhood if I had to deal with her on a daily basis.
Yeah, and I feel like that character is very true to life. Like, I feel like every neighborhood has that neighborhood watch lady who's doing the most and, calling pest control.
Yeah.
And...
Well, I mean, with this, it's a little different too, because she's actually the head of the HOA, the Homeowners Association.
Yeah.
And not all neighborhoods have that.
Yeah.
Sometimes neighborhoods have the busybody, but Homeowners Association neighborhoods are even more intense because there are actual rules, and you can get into serious trouble if you're not following the rules. I think they can even like force you out of your house if you're bad enough, but
yeah,
it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I can't say I come from a neighborhood with a homeowners association,
Probably
but
for the best.
yeah, I am totally okay with that. But like this neighborhood in this movie, it's very, very suburban. Like the Ben Folds song, I think it's called "Live in the Suburbs" or something like that.
I have a comment on that too.
Oh, okay. And I also just like yeah, the fun it pokes at suburban life, specifically, like all the houses in the neighborhood kind of look the same. And I definitely feel like that lady is the one who, if your Christmas lights are like multicolored instead of white, like she'll report you and you'll get in trouble.
Wow, she'd be the one that would write you up because she's the president, probably.
That's true, that's true.
But speaking of that song, is it Life in the Suburbs or whatever it was?
Yeah, it's something like that.
Did you know that they re-recorded it for this movie? Like, this is considered the Over the Hedge version?
Yes.
Okay.
I
I wasn't aware if you realized it or not.
Yeah, I listened to a little Ben Folds.
Oh, okay.
So I have both versions of it, and I prefer the more vulgar one. Because it's very much just like him poking fun at being like the suburban, like upper middle class kinda, and he curses a lot, and he goes on, I believe it's like this tangent in his version of the song, and I think it's pretty funny. I think it's a pretty good song. And then in the Over the Hedge version, he's like playing a character or something, and the character is like this resident of the neighborhood who has like anger issues or something. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. I think there were a few Ben Folds songs that they re-recorded actually, because I was doing some research. I don't know, maybe he wrote them specifically for the movie, but they were also on an EP of his, and they were like kind of like different versions, like his song Still and Heist. Those were both different, I think, on his EP. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, in regards to that, I think it happened with like Vanilla Ice recorded a song for the second Ninja Turtles movie way back in the day, and I think on the album, there was an album where the lyrics were different. In the Ninja Turtles, it's Go Ninja, Go. On the album version, it's like Go White Boy, Go White Boy, Go White Boy, Go White Boy.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I don't know Vanilla Ice that well, but I mean, I know his major song like Ice Ice Baby, because if you know Vanilla Ice, you've probably heard that song at some point. But one of the things I was going to go back to too is you're talking about how you go back and watch a movie when you're older that you really loved as a kid. I think there's just a lot of movies that way where it's like, you watch it as a kid, it's like, this is so fun, I enjoy this. Then you see it as when you're older and you're just like, interesting, like, or you catch jokes where you're just like, they put that into a kid's movie.
Yeah.
Like, kids' movies today, I mean, I understand parents want to protect kids from like certain things, but I think they get to be so sanitized because it's like, look at E.T. where like at the early on, Elliot refers to his brother's penis breath, and it's like,
oh my God.
You wouldn't hear that in a family-friendly movie today, I don't think. But it's like, let's be real, some kids do talk that way, especially if parents aren't around. They get into the vulgar language because like they want to seem cool to their friends, or they just don't care. So I think there's that sense of, yes. And I mean, sometimes you can look past elements of a movie that seem like, I don't know about that anymore, but I do find it fascinating that stuff has gotten so sanitized, because I also feel like we live in a world that's like getting less sanitized too, in a way. But
yeah.
I mean, when it comes, and then you're talking about the suburbs too, like, all the houses look the same. I also found that kind of fascinating too, apparently like this whole suburb community was built in a winter, because they come out of the hibernation and they're shocked to find this hedge there. Yeah. And then it's like, there's all these houses, how'd this happen? And it's like, maybe it was happening all along and they just didn't pay attention because they're animals, but it just seemed like, wow, they moved really fast putting up this suburb community.
Yeah, that's totally one of those details where it's like, oh, it's a kid's movie, like, the kids aren't gonna catch on. Like, I totally, like, when you mentioned like the squirrel moving in slow motion, when I was a kid, I totally did not get what was going on, but I still was laughing because I thought it was funny. But yeah, noticing things like that, it's like, oh yeah, it's because the squirrel can move really fast. That's why the world like stops, and that's really funny to me now. But that's also another detail that you catch when you're older. You're like, they're building a whole neighborhood in the winter, and like everyone's moved in already and stuff. Like,
I mean, well, they don't necessarily explain that like everyone's moved in. I mean, you only see one
Yeah.
specific area.
it looks pretty well lived,
Yeah.
because like they go through all those backyards, and they all do have people in them.
Yeah. Although to be fair too, I guess it could be like in California or something where they really don't get bad winters, so it's like if you're not building a house in 20 degrees, if it's like regularly 50 or 60 degrees out, probably could get quite a few houses up pretty quickly.
Yeah,
especially
that's
if you're
true.
putting the money in, and I don't imagine that's a cheap place to live either.
Yeah. It could be, yeah. It could be definitely somewhere with a warmer climate. There's no like palm trees, I don't remember.
So no, maybe that's part of the homeowners thing. It's like no palm trees around here.
Yeah, that totally could be. Yeah, what else did I have to say? I have so much to say about this movie. Did you have anything else you wanted to touch on?
I mean, I will say that Nick Nolte did a good job voicing the bear, because that really added to the menace of the character. Like,
Yeah.
he's got kind of a gravelly voice that works, and he doesn't seem like somebody who would necessarily be inclined to do a animated movie, because from what I've heard about him, he kind of seems like he's a very intense type of person, but I think he did a good job with that. I mean, I think at the time he had a young kid, so maybe that was part of what he wanted to do. But they did, as I said, they got together a very good cast of actors, and I wouldn't even hate seeing all of them appearing live action in something, but unfortunately Bruce Willis doesn't act anymore because he's got some kind of brain dementia, like a rare thing. But yeah, I mean, I think they all did a fine job voicing. In fact, even what's interesting is if you know Christopher Guest, he did like This Is Spinal Tap and Best in Show, A Mighty Wind. I would say watch those. Maybe I'll have you watch them for one of these podcasts. But
Okay.
you should check out these. They're all improv. Christopher Guest, that's his thing. Is like he directs movies, but I think they have kind of outlines, but it's all improv. But
Okay, that's cool.
the thing is, it's Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara did the voice of the Porcupine Parents. And
They did?
yeah, and then A Mighty Wind, the whole thing is like they're like were dating for a while, and then they like one of them's married to somebody else now, and then there's a whole thing of like, are they gonna kiss at the end of the song like they did 30 years ago or whatever? And I think in Best in Show they might be married or something too, but I can't remember for sure. But I know they're both from Christopher Guest world.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. I thought of one more thing too. This is probably like an unpopular opinion, but you saw Despicable Me 4.
I did.
So I thought, for movies that are coming out now, kids movies, and we were talking about how they're very like sanitized and stuff. I thought that as somebody who's 20 years old watching Despicable Me 4, it's very much aimed at kids. It had a lot of jokes in it that made me laugh out loud, and they weren't like adult jokes. They were just kind of like the way there was some physical comedy in it, and just some of the cracks that Gru makes about like being an adult and stuff like that. I honestly I had a pretty fun time watching it. I laughed, and I definitely think even with cleaning up those kids' movies and taking out some of those more adult jokes, they definitely still can be funny, like for the kids and for the parents. Not that I'm a parent, but it can be funny for college students too.
You have no idea.
I have no idea. But I don't know, I could still see myself laughing at that in like 20 years or whatever. Like, I don't know, what do you think?
I mean, I certainly enjoyed Despicable Me 4. I think the only one of that franchise I really didn't like was the second one. I think the first one's still the best. I did enjoy the third one. I bought that one too, and then the fourth one I'll probably buy. I've liked the Minions movies. I know a lot of people can't stand the Minions, but
Interesting.
that's what I've heard. Like, there's a lot of attitudes about like, oh, the Minions are just so annoying. And what's even funny too is like we work at a movie theater. And
Yes.
I sell tickets a lot, and this summer, half the people going to Despicable Me for like, 1 or 2 or 3 for Minions. And in fact, I remember Grandma walking down the hallway with her grandson, and he's like, "So can you find the theater playing Minions?" And I'm like, "It's actually Despicable Me 4.
Yeah.
If you look for Minions, you're not gonna find it, because yes, the Minions have overshadowed Gru by now,
Mm-hmm.
but they still are part of the Despicable Me universe. So not every movie featuring the Minions is gonna be Minions."
For sure. Yeah, just the other day, I think, when it was just us working, like, on Monday or whenever.
Or Wednesday, I think.
Wednesday, yeah. I heard this woman, she was like, 2 tickets for Minions, Despicable. Which I thought was pretty funny, like, but I've totally noticed that people do request tickets for the Minions movie a lot, and Minions are in this movie, but they're definitely not the focus.
Although I do feel like by now it almost seems like they're trying to do the movies half Minions, half Gru and his family.
I know, I did not like that. But I digress because we are not supposed to be talking about Minions.
Yeah.
But I just think that, kids' movies today, they definitely still can be funny even if you take out some of those adult jokes, because I do kind of like get why it would be kind of weird to put those kinds of jokes in kids' movies. I think Over the Hedge had a few for sure.
I guess I'm not really saying it should have like full-blown adult jokes or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I guess I'm just saying like material that like would fly years ago, where like parents wouldn't think much of it to have that in an animated movie. Today, like anymore, everything's animated PG. Whereas like
Mm-hmm.
there's a time when that was like, what are they dropping F-bombs in this movie? Well, how's it PG? And like, yeah, so it's, there's not swearing, but I just think,
Yeah.
or like, they'll have like cartoonish violence, and it's like, I can't have my children being exposed to that, or
Yeah.
like some joke, like randomly a character's butt will appear, and like it'll be like silly,
Yeah.
but then it's like, they're showing nudity in this movie. It's like, it's not really meant to be like something perverted, it's just meant to be a silly joke with a silly character.
Kids do think butts are funny.
Yeah, I think farts are funny.
Yeah.
And I mean, ironically enough, the first movie to ever feature a fart was an R-rated movie back in the 70s, so.
That makes sense.
But,
I think farts are funny.
yeah, if done right, farts can be very funny.
Yeah. Yeah, and I also don't think if Over the Hedge was made today, that the bear would be much more toned down. Much more of our cartoony villain than I'm gonna kill you and eat you.
Yeah, I think the bear would be less menacing, and then as I said, like, I don't think they would be as willing to make the comments about dieting and the food obsessed culture like they did this time with this one. Because
yeah.
as I say, today it's so polarizing that you'd have parents like, I don't need my kids getting a lesson on anything.
Yeah, that's interesting too, with like the dieting portion of it too. That's
Like it's, they're trying to get all the junk food, and then that is this whole ramble about like everything's meant to get you food, and I think like that would just be seen as a passive aggressive, like they're criticizing how people in America eat, and how dare they.
Yeah, that's a very, very debated topic nowadays. Like with people's like with body positivity. That's the main thing. So that's interesting to watch that movie and think of it through like the body positivity lens. Like my mind never really went there, but it definitely promotes this message that the junk food tastes better, and they don't like eating their like natural food from the forest anymore.
I mean, there's that, but I guess I was just thinking in terms of like, it's like criticizing like how Americans like to eat this country, and I just like, I mean, yes, obviously junk food tastes good because that's the whole design of it, is lots of sugar and salt and what's not considered healthy for you, and obviously eat it in I can't think of the word right now, like once in a while, like you know, as long as you're not eating it constantly, it's fine. But
Mhm.
it always becomes the issue of like if you're overindulging, then it can become a problem. But I just found it to be interesting that they're making this interesting commentary back then about like very passive aggressive about like everything seems to be about getting humans more and more food. Not even whether it's like even if it is like considered a healthier food, it's still like eating more and more and like why is it necessary to eat everything constantly? But
I feel like this movie is exactly how like British people see America.
I think it's how almost every other people in every other country see America is that we're just
Yeah. The British people are just really vocal about it, but like France, I think too, they totally think.
I think almost every other country kind of sees America
Yeah.
as gluttonous slobs, and unfortunately there are a lot of people that do represent or like make it seem like that is true. Not everyone, and I know, and by now too, like the diet craze has turned into a whole thing too. But.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's, as I say, it's such a polarizing thing, and I don't want to say too much more about it because I don't want it to turn into like us getting attacked for comments.
We are not giving any opinions.
No, we're just commenting on what this movie seems to be
Yeah.
saying.
But leave your opinions in the comments section and boost our viewership.
Even if it's a bunch of FUs, I guess we'll take it.
It will still boost our viewership. So thank you.
So, is there anything else we should bring up about this one?
No, I think we pretty much got it all.
Okay. So I guess we're done talking about this one. So for next time, we're going to be discussing Deadpool #1.
Okay, I'm not mad about that. I actually wanted to watch Deadpool.
Okay.
So I'm going into it with an open mind.
I'll say my conversation has a lot related to Iron Man, and considering that the newest Deadpool has made at least $1 billion or more worldwide, and who knows how much more it's going to make.
Yeah.
I feel it's a good time to kind of get into that one. So
Okay.
I guess for now we'll see you later.
See you later.
I'm Jay,
I'm Lucy.
and we've been talking movies.
Until next time.
Until next time.